Hello, I'm Doug Henschen, VP and Principal Analyst at Constellation Research, covering data to decisions.
And I'm Larry Dignan, Editor-in-Chief of Constellation Insights, and we're here to cover tech news for episode 65. I'm co-host with Doug, our fearless leader for this episode.
And following the news, Dion Hinchcliffe is going to have a report on our latest CIO survey. And then I'm going to share a segment on my latest report on how data catalogs will both benefit from and help to accelerate your efforts to take advantage of generative AI. Then in our closing segment, Larry and I are going to share a quick rundown of the tech events that Constellation Research analysts are going to be attending during the busy fall event season, at least through the next 2 months. But first, let's get to the news.
All right, so I'll kick off. This week, we have a bunch of stuff coming up, but the big event that most of the consumers and other people in the market for smartphones will be watching is the new iPhone 15 launch. Our view of it is sort of like, yeah, smartphone, big deal. A new Apple Watch, big deal. But when you watch these keynotes, the thing to keep in mind is like, there's always these little developer hooks. So I'll be looking for things like healthcare transformation, ways Apple's hooking in the Apple Watch to healthcare institutions, and then also just trying to figure out where the iPhone and various devices are going. On the consumer side, Apple's really just trying to sell you more services. This is about lock-in and selling you subscriptions. On the enterprise side, for those companies that are still buying devices for their workforce, iPhone kind of dominates in the enterprise. So it's very interesting to watch how these corporate buying programs kick off and what they figure out, you know, whether it's iPhone 15 versus 13 versus 12, et cetera, et cetera. So that'll be what's worth watching. But look for those little itty bitty things like HealthKit, like healthcare deals, you know, new data they're tracking, et cetera.
I thought the one, as a consumer, the one big thing I'm looking forward to is goodbye to the Lightning charger. USB-C is the new standard for charging the iPhone. And I also saw a little eye-popping $200 billion drop in Apple's stock after China announced that they didn't announce a ban of the iPhone in China. They announced that more government entities and government-owned concerns are going to ban iPhone. But that kind of got a little misconstrued and a big drop in Apple stock.
Yeah, and I think we're all going to be watching the reaction to Apple shares just because it's the biggest component of the S&P 500. Yeah. It's in all of our retirement accounts by default.
Yes.
And it is the biggest target between a China-US economic war. As far as the USB-C thing goes, the most interesting part here is how they're spinning this thing. They're only doing USB-C because Europe's making them. Europe basically said, look, this is ridiculous that we have all these chargers. You're just creating all this e-waste because you want some fancy lightning connector that may or may not be better. My guess is it isn't. But like Apple always does, they will spin this like they created USB-C and it's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, they're coaching their retail staff to sell their USB-C chargers, and we now have a ton of e-waste in the form of the old Lightning chargers that'll be useless.
It is going to be the funniest part of the whole keynote, watching them spin this. I can't wait. Yeah. I'll probably do something just on that.
Now, I know it was pre-Labor Day. We're trying to talk about news here, but I wanted to revisit Google Cloud Next. Gen AI was obviously a huge theme with Duet and Vertex embedded everywhere. I also thought they did a good job of sort of reinforcing Google's AI leadership. Both Sundar Pichai and Thomas Kurian made strong points on the differentiation of their underlying infrastructure, not just NVIDIA, but also their own TPU chips. Not just their own, large language model and PaLM, but also AI21 Labs, Anthropic, Cohere, contextual AI, and more. So really making that openness point that they try to differentiate Google with. So where Google was sounding a bit on the defense early in the year, when Microsoft sort of jumped on the OpenAI bandwagon and took a lot of early capabilities public, I see Google execs now as much more confident about their AI leadership and their position among the cloud vendors in being on the forefront of AI. Now, in my research area, I was excited to see the generative AI enhancements to both BigQuery and Looker, deep integration between BigQuery and Vertex, and the addition of a BigQuery Studio, so providing one unified interface for the data engineers, the data scientists, and the analysts that want to make use of all that data in BigQuery. So good stuff. I was pleasantly surprised it was a good event.
Yeah, I think Google's kind of found its groove. I think the theme to watch in the future, the weeks ahead, especially as we get later on in the year where, AWS reInvent, I think this concept of choice is going to matter a lot in terms of bring your own models and how that plays out, because I do think enterprises are going to want choice. Microsoft also has other models, but where it gets interesting is because they were out here so early with the ChatGPT and the Copilot, and they're a big investor in OpenAI, your brain naturally just thinks they're, an OpenAI shop. So I think that choice is going to matter more and more, especially as companies are looking for open source foundation models and things like that. So what looked like an early way to jump ahead of the others may actually wind up boxing Microsoft in a little bit, at least from a perception category. So the other thing I'm watching, this is a little farther out, week of the 18th. So there are two quantum events, and I follow quantum computing. It's fun, yet kind of far out. It's, is the enterprise ready? Not really. But IonQ is outlining their roadmap on the 19th. And it's going to be interesting to watch because it's their first investor day. If you follow the stock market at all, IonQ has been everywhere from like $5 to $20. And just a couple days later, you have IBM holding a quantum event where they're talking about their roadmap and things like that. So it's going to be a very interesting week on the quantum front, just to sort of do the dueling banjos between the upstart versus the big Goliath. And it's just going to be interesting to see about their, everybody's chasing this quantum supremacy. And, there are some use cases where quantum's being used. It's mostly being consumed through cloud providers. But there is this idea that quantum will get, I guess, more consumable. It'll be less of a science project and all that. So I'll be interested in watching both of those to see, are we there yet and how we get there. Because, NVIDIA talks about quantum, Intel's talking about it, Google's talking about it. And there's sort of this idea that, data centers will sort of have, what they'd call legacy compute, quantum compute. And, it kind of makes you wonder as what these things could actually do as things go along. And I think it also, this quantum thing and generative AI, I think, can kind of ride shotgun and converge over time. So it's just an interesting space. Yes, it's very early. But, from watching the stocks and just the space overall, it's going to be fascinating to watch. And it's something, I think your average CTO should probably pay attention to. Even
I'm a bit of a skeptic. I'm in it's very early. I just had a peek at Holger's short list for quantum, and the inclusion criteria are things like having a working quantum computer,
right?
Having 6 to 8 live enterprise, 6 to 8, single digit numbers of customers. So I guess I do know from IonQ's case, they just reported earnings not that long ago. I don't have the specific number, but I think like one system is like $23 million. So the revenue base they have right now is really small, but pipeline, they could grow, but it is a case of if they sold one system and recognized all the revenue in that quarter, it's more revenue than they've ever had. So important from a vendor revenue market with upside potential perspective. But my bias is always who are a lot of end user customers, I can help with research. And so
Right.
I'm glad to let Holger handle out that
Well,
market.
I think where it gets interesting is at some point, whether that's either pulled along by the stock market or whatever, I expect quantum to have this generative AI moment where, oh, you can do this with it, and then bam. And everybody forget, you need to be like negative 200 degrees Fahrenheit or whatever to keep these things cool. But the one thing IonQ has is it is actually on all the cloud providers. And I've looked at reviews and stuff like that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, to be on the short list, it means you have to have, 1 or 2 customers, 6, 8, whatever. We're not talking big numbers. But I do think there'll come a moment. I don't know if that moment's next year, 3 years from now, where it's just going to be like generative AI, where your CEO is going to come to you and say, hey, what are we doing about this?
10 years.
Exactly. It could be 10. It's funny. We could almost, we could have this argument all day.
Well, listen, that's all the time we have for the news this week. But stay tuned for Dion's report on our latest CIO survey, my report on how data catalogs will both benefit from and help to accelerate your generative AI initiatives. And then we'll close with our fall show wrap-up, noting nearly a dozen shows we'll be attending through the end of October. So stay tuned.
Hello, this is Dion Hinchcliffe, VP and Principal Analyst at Constellation Research, and this is the summary of our new digital CXO survey that we conducted in May and June of 2023. It went primarily out to CIOs, Chief Digital Officers, a few CDAOs, which are analytics and data officers, and we looked at the state of IT, where they are with artificial intelligence and solution acquisition. We sense that some things are going to be changing in the landscape. And so this is just a summary of the data. You can get more details from the analysis that will come out based on this. But in short, the key insight is that in terms of buying, cloud, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and digital innovation ranked as the top buying trends, as the big focus area over the next 3 to 5 years. And surprisingly, cost cutting ranked low. So only 6% of respondents, and these are all top digital leaders from our Business Transformation 150 awards every year, the last 7 years, they reported cost cutting is just not a top priority. And what was also interesting is just the mass migration to the cloud that's planned, because only 70% of IT workloads today are on premise and are not in a cloud stack, but 80% are looking at migrating large segments of IT to the cloud over the next 5 years. And that's a combination of research from this survey and other research that we've done. So we recommend that cloud migration will continue for another 5 years, and vendors and suppliers should have robust cloud migration solutions. Same thing with cybersecurity and digital innovation / transformation. Is top focus areas, and so really these are the areas that vendors should really focus on. The next insight was that IT organizations are significantly underutilizing the channel, and only 48% of top digital CXOs in our survey only spend about 25% or less through the channel. And so that's really a major growth opportunity. But the question is there a demand for it? And our survey also found that there is broad interest for technology procurement advisory from those who are trusted peers or have deep expertise, especially in areas that they're not familiar with. And so that was a near majority if you look at all the different answers on the slide here. The third insight, and this is something that a lot of other studies have validated over the years as well, is that friction has greatly increased in IT purchasing. And so we really asked about that. How has IT procurement and the acquisition process become more challenging for you over the last 5 years? And virtually all the choices we gave them, and they came back as yes, there are issues. Reviews are taking more time. IT has trouble getting the staff to oversee purchases. There's more stakeholders. They have to decide on the deal, or at least not be against it. And there's just more bureaucracy in general. So the majority of respondents say that the growing bureaucracy and other obstacles to purchasing are making it harder to get IT solutions in place, taking longer. So partners and suppliers have to really help organizations streamline that procurement process if possible. Moving on to AI, we see that one of the key insights from our survey is, and this is not unexpected, artificial intelligence is in play in 2023. There are opportunities and challenges both, though. So 36% of organizations in the survey said that they're just now starting out strategically with AI. And the others are in various stages of, now we're getting out of the gate, now we're doing this. But what's really interesting is that nearly a quarter of organizations are actively blocking new artificial intelligence features being added to existing products until they have a policy around not leaking intellectual property, IP out to their AI vendors, and then make sure that the AI is accurate and safe and so on. So the lion's share of AI acquisition is yet to happen is the key insight here, and partners can use that relationship to become a trusted provider of AI solutions. So the market is still open. Another recommendation that there's a lot of work to be done educating and providing the assurance that AI is safe to use. It can be made explainable, that it's not overly biased, that it doesn't take your intellectual property. And so this is an opening for partners to provide that assurance and education, in our view. And the final insight is that generative AI, that's the current generation of AI that's getting so much attention with things like ChatGPT and GPT-4, is only half of the AI pie. So 30% rank AI as a top focus area for their organization currently. So that's nearly a third of all organizations in the survey. And again, these are leading organizations. At 47% are looking at artificial intelligence and machine learning technology beyond generative AI. So, companies that have older AI solutions are just as competitive as those who focus on the latest advances such as generative AI. So it's important to have a broad artificial intelligence solution portfolio. And so that's a wrap up for what we saw in the survey. It gives us some things to really think about and help organizations guide both their purchases and for vendors to make sure that they're hitting the mark. Thank you very much.
Hey folks, Doug Henschen of Constellation Research here, and I want to talk about my latest report, How Data Catalogs Will Benefit from and Accelerate Generative AI. There's lots of data catalogs out there, but what I'm talking about today is enterprise data catalogs and metadata management platforms, including those from the likes of Atlan, Elation, Calibra, Data.World, IBM with its knowledge catalog, Informatica. There's a number of data catalogs in the cloud world, and to a greater or lesser degree, they cover enterprise aspirations. Namely, do they catalog and index data that's beyond their own clouds? Do they do that with data and assets that might be on premises? That's a key differentiator in discerning an enterprise catalog from sort of a point catalog. So why are we talking about this category? There's certainly no category in software that isn't being improved or addressed in some way by generative AI. And certainly this category is going to benefit from generative AI, and I'm going to talk about that in just a few moments. But it's also really important that this category will help to accelerate the development of Gen AI and your custom Gen AI capabilities. That's because all AI needs data for training, and these catalog, metadata management, governance platforms help with, finding and understanding the appropriate use of your data. So that's all to the good when it comes to developing Gen AI. So let's take a closer look at how these catalogs are already being used. Now, as I said, there's plenty of catalogs for point systems, for specific clouds, but a good enterprise-grade platform helps to cope with these far-flung data and assets across hybrid and multi-cloud deployments. This might include data at the edge. We've seen these catalogs deployed heavily, and most initially the category emerged in helping with self-service analytics deployments. Then they started helping with these data fabric, distributed data lake deployments, where you gave up on trying to put everything in one data warehouse, but you wanted to bring together in a fabric all the data across on-prem and across clouds, and make that sort of a virtual fabric, a virtual a lake of sorts. And that's where catalogs helped to do just that. And then we had a lot of IoT deployments where you started to have sensors on the edge and doing things like predictive maintenance. And then even with ML and AI, and now Gen AI, we're seeing much more data scientists relying on these data catalog platforms to find and use the appropriate data for training and development of models. So digging in on just what data catalogs, metadata management does, we've got to look at what a solid enterprise platform addresses, both the data catalog functionality above the dotted line you see here, and then the deeper data governance capabilities below the dotted line. So just to review quickly, above that dotted line in the data cataloging camp, you have automating the discovery and indexing of data and assets. You don't want to have people having to map this and describe this data. No, this is technology, machine learning, pattern recognition that crawls around all of your data across the enterprise and related assets, reports, models, etc., dashboards, everything, and helps to make it discoverable, indexes it, describes it. It helps with automatically monitoring data quality and alerting users of data and models that might be tied to data, alerting the folks about changes in data quality. It shows who is using data and how, which reports, which dashboards, who trusts that data, who owns that data, who stewards that data. It captures human knowledge about data. So it enables humans, it does the automated step, but also enables humans to annotate and comment and endorse, thumbs up, thumbs down, or critique data. And then finally, it enables you to search across this catalog, search across all that tribal knowledge, to find the data and assets that might be appropriate for use, for many different uses, but particularly generative AI. Now, looking below that dotted line, and this is very important for governance capabilities, you want to help data science teams see what's certified, see what the high quality data is, see what the appropriate ownership levels is. Governance capabilities help with tracking lineage, the source of data, including across the use of data in AI models and versions thereof. And this is important for model transparency, explainability, and compliance. It helps to identify who the stewards are or suggest who the stewards of that data should be, who are the owners. And it helps to classify data. What is PII? What is proprietary? What are trade secrets? And again, this is done in an automated fashion with some assistance from humans in the loop. And it helps, again, the important step here is it's going to help teams know what data should and should not be used in the development of Gen AI or any other type of AI. The governance usually has an ability to help folks set, and then it'll automatically enforce policies on the use of data and assets, including the use of that data in building models. So how is this category going to both benefit from and help to accelerate Gen AI? So on the left side, we see how it's going to improve, how Gen AI will help to enrich and improve the accuracy of that automated data and asset descriptions. It's going to ease the search and exploration of data with improved natural language search capabilities. We've seen that in almost every Gen AI capability. This natural language interaction is only going to get more accurate, more verbose, and improved sort of natural language understanding of search intent, recommending ideas for exploration based on your line of questioning, and again, automatically identifying and tagging PII and other sensitive data. Now, moving to the right side on how it's going to accelerate the development of Gen AI, catalogs, metadata management makes this data and assets more visible and understandable to the Gen AI development teams. It helps reveal and enforce data access rights, usage policies, and permissions. It helps flag data that's just inappropriate for use in model training. And with the automated data quality checks, it ensures the use of accurate and consistent data when building models. So that is a very quick look at my latest report. And if you want to know more about the metadata management, data catalog, and data governance category, those platforms, I have a great short list with pretty much that same name, metadata management, data cataloging, and data governance. Look for that short list at constellationr.com/short list. So thanks for watching, and I hope this helps you better find and govern your data, ease and speed the development of trusted AI with that data, including cutting-edge generative AI. Hey folks, welcome to the Constellation Research Conference dance card for this fall. We're previewing the live events we'll be attending over the next 2 months. This is Doug Henschen. I'm joined by my colleague Larry Dignan, and we're going to tell you who's going where and just a little bit about how these vendors, what they're saying about these shows. So let's start with this week, and as we speak, I'm going to be at Dreamforce. I'm going to be there with Liz Miller, Ray Wang, and Dion. And it's all there in San Francisco for Salesforce's big annual event. They're promising a huge AI. They're saying it's the biggest AI conference going. The billing is part inspiration, part innovation, all mind-blowing. They won't be calling it GPT anymore. They had a couple of preview announcements about GPT, but they're ditching that name. But expect a big dose of Gen AI and hope to see you there. Larry, what's next?
Well, let's just backtrack to Dreamforce just a smidge to note the Foo Fighters are playing there. So to me, that's kind of the best part of the whole deal, but whatever. September 14th and 15th, Systems Integrator Infosys will host its Confluence event in San Diego, which is a great location, by the way. Ray Wang and Andy Thurai will be there. The topic is conversations about being AI first. So that'll be a big one. The following week in Vegas, it's Oracle Open World, or Cloud World now. It's no longer Open World. That'll be September 18th to 21st in Las Vegas. What to expect here, Holger will be there, as will Ray. The other thing to note is there'll probably be a little Exadata going on, a little on-prem, but a whole lot of Oracle Cloud. And you can expect a keynote that resembles Oracle's earnings conference calls, where Larry Ellison just punches AWS in the face repeatedly because he has this minor AWS obsession. So that'll be good too.
And I noticed in their promo on their site, they were touting keynotes from industry luminaries. So you could probably see Jensen Huang there, the CEO of NVIDIA, just as you see him at every event, touting the fact that they have a partnership for GPUs. Yeah,
is there an event he's not at? I mean, I think I was at a 16-year-old's birthday party the other day, and I think he showed up just to do the keynote. So.
All right. Well, that same week is Oracle Open World. We're going to have a Smart Sheet Engage in Seattle, and Liz Miller is going to be there. They're a resource management vendor, and it's promising, quote, thought-provoking speakers and 65 plus actionable sessions to help you tackle your next big project. Not so much a talk about AI there, but it's a sprinkling of it, less of claiming it to be an AI show. Then for the last week of September, I'll be back in San Francisco along with Holger and Ray, and we're attending Workday Rising at the Moscone Center, September 26th through 29. They're saying the event will be, quote, all in on innovation, all out on community, and all 4 days. Again, another vendor glomming on to AI, generative AI, doing things like generating job descriptions and helping with HR activities as well as finance type stuff. Larry, what do you got next?
So on September 26th, Andy will be at, I'm going to butcher this name, Data
IQ.
Data IQ. Oh, they do the Q. Oh, that's cute. They do the Q with the KU. So he'll be at Data IQ Everyday AI, which sounds like it might be a buzzword for next year once we get off this generative kick. That'll be in New York City, and the idea is that they're going to put AI to work. And as we move into October, Holger and Ray will be at Ceridian Insights in Las Vegas on October 2nd through the 5th. The HCM vendor says you'll be able to see how to help leaders have the workforce of tomorrow with AI-driven innovation. You know what? If we had a drinking game every time they said AI at one of these conferences, it would just be, well, it'd probably be terrible for the listener, but kind of fun too.
We'd be as rich as NVIDIA.
Exactly.
Hey, my first event in October is going to be the Boomi World Tour stop in Silicon Valley. That'll be in Menlo Park, October 3rd and 4th. It's an integration platform as a service vendor. They're going to talk about how organizations can radically simplify processes to create great business outcomes that can change the lives of customers. Wow. I'm looking forward to that. And they're definitely going to have some Gen AI helping to do that. Then from October 9 through 12, you'll be able to catch Andy Thurai at UiPath Forward 6 in Las Vegas. I guess last year's was Forward 5. They're a business automation vendor, and they described it as a gathering of people like you who are the architects of a new AI-powered future of work. Are we picking up on a theme, Larry?
Yes, we are. The other thing about UiPath is they do process mining, task mining, and a bunch of other things. So, they'll have a bunch of tracks to where, it'll be kind of interesting to watch. So Adobe Max, that kicks off in person and virtual. Liz Miller's there. That's in LA between October 10th and 12th. Biggest thing to know about Adobe Max is it's a creative conference. And it usually has all these luminaries and people that are speaking that have absolutely nothing to do with tech, but it looks damn entertaining. And frankly, Adobe Max just looks too cool for me. But there'll be a lot of Creative Cloud stuff, a lot of generative AI things, and I'll be able to, play around with a bunch of pictures and do cool stuff. Yeah,
Liz is there to cover all the CX stuff, the least, out there creative type stuff, but all
but you can get sucked into that thing. And then last but certainly not least is our October CCE. That's at Half Moon Bay. And the thing to know here is we're going to have a bunch of open conversations with a bunch of BT 150 leaders, a lot of brainiacs, and my brain might hurt at the end, but I think I'm going to learn a lot. And I get to hang out with all you fine folks. Yeah, we got a lot of super smart CXOs at CCE, or Constellation Connected Enterprise for the uninitiated. Promises to be a lot of fun, always is. I'm also looking forward to hearing from our keynoters, including author and provocateur Byron Reese, venture investor and co-author of Idea Flow, the only business metric that matters, Jeremy Utley, and leadership coach Colleen Jordan Hallinan. So that's it for our fall conference dance card. Hope to see you at an upcoming event. Well, that's a wrap for episode 65 of CRTV. Get set for the next episode in 2 weeks. And next week, Holger Mueller and Liz Miller will be taking over for episode 66. In the meantime, follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter at ConstellationR and at the hashtag CRTV show.
And don't forget to subscribe to Constellation Research TV on YouTube and subscribe to Constellation Research Insights at ConstellationR.com to keep up with Larry's enterprise tech news coverage. Thanks for watching and have a great week.
Larry, you're a bit zoomed in, I must say.
Yeah. Right? Oh,
there we go.
Okay.
Now, I was just pulling up these scripts that Doug wrote. And I'm Larry Dignan, editor-in-chief of Constellation Insights, and we're co-hosts for this episode 65 of CRTV.
And well, there's a little bit more to it than that. Larry.
Oh, there is. Damn reading. I suck at reading. I hate reading.
Oh, shit. Well, we're in trouble then.
And I'm Larry Dignan. I'm from Constellation Insights, reading Doug's scripts. No, okay, here we go. And I'm Larry Dignan, editor-in-chief of Constellation Insights, and we're your co-hosts for episode 65 of CRTV. We're here to read. We're here to what? We're here to not read.
This is great, Hannah. This is working out perfectly for increasing our blooper.
I am going to be nothing but a blooper. All right, hold on. Who the hell am I again? All right, here we go. And I think I'm just going to get rid of this thing. See you, script. All right. I'm just going to talk, damn it. So.
I'm good with that, Larry. What else you got going?
I was like, did I say something so profound that you just shut up and that was that? And Liz Miller and Holger Mueller will be bleh. All right. That's right. That's right, Dougie. Yeah, buddy. All right. At ZDNet, we used to have to do like these customer interviews that SAP or whoever would buy. And part of the sell was we would take them to like the CBS This Morning studio. So it'd be me dressed up under all these lights, talking to some person, trying to look natural, looking into the prompter. And I would just lose my shit because it was just so hard reading off the prompter. Then I had a diva moment because SAP insisted that I said customer centricity. And I just lost my shit because I'm like, that's not a word. It's all bullshit. What else?
All right, we're at 1:30. I got to go make a panini. Let's wrap this up.